Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. My readings are collective readings, so with that, go ahead and pick up what resonates and leave the rest that doesn't for somebody else to appreciate. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, we are reading from the Halloween Oracle on Halloween. At the time of recording this, it is Halloween or Samhain, All Hallows Eve, whatever you refer to it as. But if you're watching this afterwards, go ahead and give it a watch because I do my readings to with the intention of them being timeless. So whenever you're watching this is whenever you are ready for the message. So let's get into it. All right. Taking a step aside, letting spirit pass through. All right. So, happy Halloween, happy Samhain, happy New Year, happy All Hallows Eve, whatever you celebrate. Happy day. Okay, let's see. What does the collective need to know? What does the collective need to know, Spirit? Alright. Okay. We're going to leave it at that. Alright, so the first one that came out was the veil. Oh, that's really cool. So the veil's thin at the moment while I'm reading this. So if you are watching this later, you can still pick up on that energy of like the thin veil, basically, which is when it's easier to communicate with spirit, your ancestors, whatever beings you work with. And so definitely use this energy to kind of tap in and connect a little deeper with your spirit team. So I'm going to see if there's anything from the book that pops. So know that the other worlds are close. Listen in particular to what messages may come forth around your future. Look to what you want to happen. Plan, set intentions, and think big. All right. So let's set the intention right now for the entire collective to bring in prosperity in their highest timeline and abundance in all forms of, in all areas of life. Abundance and peace. All right, the next one that came out was Zombie in Control. And so with this card, there is the full moon here, which ironically enough, it's also the new moon at the time of recording this. So there definitely could be something with maybe this next cycle from the new moon to the full moon. It's going to be very, I'd say, important and very significant. There's the word. With this card of control, it can either mean the need to let go of some control in certain areas of life, or it can also be on the flip side of that, needing to assert more control over certain aspects. So getting more clear, more concise about certain areas, setting better boundaries, basically, and doing those things out of self-love so that you can show up in the world in your best form. The next song that came out is Night Song, which is Hidden Talents. You've got the red cardinal on there. I have not seen this card yet, so that's always exciting. All right. A bird singing at night is an unusual occurrence, and those birds who are known as singers of the darkness are almost always considered sacred. From the operatic nightingale through to the hooting owl, hearing a bird you cannot see weaving its magic through the night sky has captivated humans for millennia. Should this beautiful but shy bird sing to you by appearing during your divination, know that you must unwrap the present of yourself. Look, some of the gifts within you remain unopened. The time has come to step into your true potential and claim all possibilities for yourself. There is no more time to waste. No more excuses. So I'm going to go ahead and take a minute to affirm this for all of you as well. And just command it. Say something along the lines of, I accept all the gifts that are within me that are ready to emerge at this moment to be able to emerge. I honor them, I thank them, and I allow them through. And I acknowledge the greatness of these gifts within myself and to bring them forth for the highest good of my life, myself, and everyone around me, including the collective. As within, so without. All right. So the last one that came out was Vampire, which is emotional intelligence. Got looks like a big harvest moon on there. Let's see here. Vampire. All right. Okay. Most of us have heard of the concept of emotional vampirism, the idea that people feed off our energy and our goodwill and take advantage of us through manipulation and their incessant neediness. Should the vampire card appear in your reading, it may indicate that you are being drained in this way and the time has come for stronger boundaries. We need to be very aware of what gives us energy in our lives and what takes it away. We should be aware of needing people to need us and why we invite people like this into our homes, workplaces, and lives, if indeed we have them around us. Developing the emotional intelligence within ourselves help us defend against this kind of emotional and psychic attack and enables us to foster healthy, equal relationships of all kinds. Okay, so yeah, definitely picking up needing to amp up the boundaries. There's two different cards that came out that are kind of indicating that. So I really feel that that would be something to really look into and understand that when you assert these boundaries around the self and around your time and your gifts and your energy, then what you're doing is you're actually able to step up and be your best self in your life, which has the ripple effect out on everybody you come in contact with. And then even those that you don't, it ripples out. It adds, really good energy to the collective. When you are showing up in your best self, it allows others to show up in their best self. And then that's just going to have a massive effect overall on the collective. And on your experience, on the experience of those around you, on, the experience of those on, planet Earth, and also in, other star systems and universes and everything else, other realms. Let me see if anything else wants to come out. Okay. Alright. I did see that one earlier too. We want both of these. Alright. So we're going to take, we've got 4 more that came out. So I'm going to go ahead and take them. It feels right. Alright, so the next card that came out was Werewolf, which is exploring wildness. Oh, there we go. Alright. Okay. The werewolf is a kind of shapeshifter, but one that has traditionally had little control over his wildness. In a way, an inner battle between civilization and wild animal nature fights inside the one body. The vitality, strength, and freedom of the animal versus the reason, control, and intellect of the man, which one thought is the dominant force. What is the healthy balance between our animal nature, one that is wild and free and connected to nature, and our radically civilized humanness separate from or dominant over nature? The werewolf asks us to consider this balance and delve into our own ideas of wildness, independence, and custodianship of the planet. When is the last time you spent all day outside? When's the last time you threw your head back and howled at the moon? Do you squash the vitality and curiosity of your body and mind by sitting all day in front of a computer? The werewolf challenges you to weave a balance between nature and your own nature. Okay. So maybe really tapping into the full self. Those suppressed parts of the self, maybe let them out in healthy ways and really tap back into them. All right. The next one that came out was Graveyard, which is Unnecessary Fear. Okay, so right there, before even kind of reading this, I'm picking up that there might be an unnecessary fear of exploring the wildness within the self. And then with the next card out, it's Jack-o'-lantern, which is protection. So with that, I'm getting that you're protected to tap into this wildness of the self, this side of the self that oftentimes we kind of push down and suppress as we step more into adulthood, basically, and it's less, acceptable. And so the time to do that is now, and I feel like something will be illuminated to you through this process. And let's go ahead and read a little bit out of the book just to see if anything else comes through. Know that you fear unnecessarily. Things are not as they seem, and you can overcome your obstacles. The anxieties you have, although real, should be put aside before they haunt you long term. Instead, trust that you know the correct next steps and that you will act upon them. All right, then with protection here. Oh, it's Jack-o'-lantern, which is protection. All right, so there we go. Know that you are protected and that you are capable of creating the life that you want, and that the universe supports you in this should Jack shine his light upon you. Boundaries are important to teach people how to treat us, and drawing this card indicates you may wish to renew the ones you have or to establish new ones. So there's definitely, that's a 3-time confirmation here about setting boundaries. So, definitely whatever you're called to set boundaries on right now, do it. And then if you're feeling yourself being like drained around certain people or in certain situations or on certain topics, actually, that's something to be aware of. Is if all of a sudden you're like, I'm feeling good, and then you just get immediately extremely tired, pay attention to what is happening in your surroundings at that time. It can be a type of music, it can be a type of an environment, and then it can also be certain topics. Everything holds energy, and so if somebody starts talking about a certain topic and it's just like all of a sudden you're like, I could go take a nap right now, pay attention to that. That's your body cueing you into something and saying, hey, this is not in alignment, this is not for our highest good. We need to get out of this situation, basically. Like, this is draining our energy. So pay attention to those occurrences as they're happening, and it'll help you get some more insight on where you need to tighten up on those boundaries. And it doesn't need to be something like, I will never talk about this again. It's just one of those, like, if it's a topic that, you know, you're not really wanting to talk about, and just like, oh, okay, and just kind of like give it a little bit of, oh, yeah, oh, and then just kind of like politely change the subject to something else. And then, you know, try and phase into something different. And then, of course, if you're in certain situations and you have to be straight up and upfront and like, hey, I'm actually not talking about this right now. It messes with my energy, so I'm just, you know, I'm not talking about this right now. You know, that's okay as well. Like, that's your right to do so for your own energy, and to preserve it and you know, protect it, basically. All right, so the last one that came out is School of Light, which is illumination. Oh no. Okay, school. Oh. Okay. Might be something about school that is relevant for somebody, because I meant to say skull and I said school. All right, there's the card for the imagery. Should the School of Light enter your life, know that it is time to open yourself fully to the clarity of bright illumination. Allow yourself to be seen and to see and act upon what is shown to you. The time has passed for hiding, for pretending, and for swallowing our discomfort by accepting the status quo when it really doesn't suit us. Exactly. That goes right within what I was just talking about. So, yeah, with further, you know, with diving in a little bit more and really tapping into, like, what situations, you know, on the flip side of that, with, like, what situations drain us, what situations, you know, light you up, and pay attention to those and seek out more of those situations, those conversations, those environments, those types of people. And the more you seek that out and the more you are looking for those experiences, the more you're going to have them. And it's going to be just a lot easier to maintain these boundaries, because you're not going to have to constantly, you know, maintain them. If you're seeking out, basically like higher timeline, higher vibrational experiences, then you're going to start pulling that back in and reflecting it back into yourself. And then the need to amp up these boundaries and to maintain them and to hold them and all of that, it's going to be a lot easier, because you're going to put yourself in situations where those boundaries aren't going to be crossed as much. You know, you're always going to come into situations where there's a little bit of pushback, but for the most part, if you're really seeking out these experiences that light you up, that's what you're going to experience. We're always going to have the contrast. We're always going to experience things that don't light us up, that drain our energy, that we don't necessarily appreciate and like in the moment. But it makes it a lot easier if that's a small portion of what the experience is. And then it's just like, oh, okay, I recognize that this isn't something that I'm really digging, so I'm going to go ahead and just continue to, you know, seek out these experiences that light me up. Yeah. Okay, well. With that, yeah, I'm definitely picking up the, you know, definitely amp up the boundaries, really spend some time with this. You can journal about it. You can look up different things online too that kind of help with this, and you know, how to set clear, strong boundaries. And there's all sorts of ways. You can do it in ways that are, it's not like I'm setting this boundary and you have to respect it. Like, there's ways that you can do it without even acknowledging that that's what you're doing. It's just, you know, realizing that, oh, I need a boundary when it comes to this. I need to be aware of the fact that when I'm in this situation, it's very draining to my energy. So, and ask for guidance on it. Ask, you know, like, What's the best way for me to navigate this situation? And just allow the answer to come. When you ask, it's given. So with that, you also have to put yourself in a place to listen and receive that answer and that guidance. But acknowledging it and identifying where your energy is leaking out. And then if you don't know a solution right away, just ask for one. Ask your guides and your spirit team, whatever you work with, to help you to come up with solutions that are good for you. Different people are going to require different ways of going about boundary setting. Some people, you can be straight up with them and just like, hey, when I talk about this, it drains my energy, so I'm not going to talk about this subject anymore. Some people are going to hear that and then push back and then, really be up in your energy about it. And like, well, why does it do that? And you need to talk about it or whatever. And then in that situation, then it's probably recommended to just, change the subject when it comes up. And if somebody's like, why don't you ever want to talk about this? Just be like, I don't really have anything to add to it right now. Something like that, where you're not lying, you're not, and you're not saying like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't like, it's, whatever, and get into a confrontational situation with somebody if they're not going to be receptive. There's ways to go about it, and then it phases out. And then that other person starts to learn that when this topic gets brought up, it gets shut down. And so they might still keep trying to bring it up, but just keep shutting it down, and just understand that you're changing a dynamic. Sometimes it's been going on for years. And so just, be patient with yourself, and then also ask for help and guidance on doing this. And give yourself credit, give yourself credit for the little wins when you're like, you know what? I stood up for myself in this. I put a boundary there and I reinforced it. And that's the other thing too, is have patience with this process, because when we're setting up boundaries, especially new ones, there's going to be pushback on it because it's new. Especially if you're doing it in the way of like where you're changing the subject a little or something like that. Understand that it's going to take a little bit of time for it to really, set in and be reinforced. And then sometimes it's just understanding that like a boundary slipped a little and you just need to reinforce it. And then also just identifying where your energy is expending in ways that aren't serving. That is huge. That's going to help overall. That'll help your health. It'll help your mental state, your physical state, your emotional state, and also your spiritual connection. It's one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. It really, really is. And then with that, you're going to have so much illumination that's going to come through. And so much more will come to light, and it will just give you more guidance, and you'll start that feedback cycle of great experiences and, shining your light and having that reflected back. So just stick with it. You're doing good. Give yourself some credit. You got this. And, this boundary setting is from a place of self-love. And you're protected, and explore the wild parts of the self, because that's fun. And you'll learn a lot about yourself by doing that as well. You'll learn a lot about, it can rekindle passions. It can rekindle certain energies within the body of, childlike excitement and things like that oftentimes we phase out of as we get older. And so that can help reignite that as well. Okay, so with that, this is going to come to the end of your reading. If you like the way I read and you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe. If you like this reading, definitely hit the like button for me. And then, if this resonates with you, please leave me a comment, because I really do love hearing about your guys' journey and where you're at, and different like techniques and stuff too, because that's always helpful. So thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening to this message. I hope it helped in some way. And until next time, take care. Bye.